SLC4 was another race day full of race drama from start to absolute finish, but when all the dust settled, the fantasy landscape looked exactly as promised. Practically half the field had the exact same 250 team, a team that crushed it, by the way, leading to a lot of high scores, but not a lot to be excited about. And as quick as they came, the West Riders are already wrapping up with SLC5 being the final West exclusive round of the season. Hi, my name is Donnie, and you may notice that I don't have any glasses on today. We're trying contacts because I hated the glare in the lens, so we're trying something new. Welcome to the 15th episode of the RotoX Fantasy Preview, the only video resource on the web that breaks down fantasy stats and helps you make better decisions with your team and FFL picks. I have another 5 riders for you to keep your eye on to who to target for FFLs, as well as the forecast and schedule for Sunday's race. But first, let's recap what went down Wednesday night. A little bit of bounce back in the player base for the Wednesday night special with 4,169 Championship League players setting their lineups, but that is still just 64% of people that paid their $20. I might have to talk to Marks at the end of the season to see if I can get an official number of just how many players managed to set their lineup for all 17 rounds. With Jacob Hayes being the only all-star missing on Wednesday, the other 15 riders only mustered 7 full scores, with Barsha and Malcolm both finishing in the single digits despite having generous 7 handicaps. Of the remaining 29 riders making up the main events, all but 8 of them scored double points, led by Blake Baggett and Cameron McAdoo's 52. A perfect score this week would have brought in 304, and guess what? Somebody finally did it. And what do you know? They are in the RotoX League, and they watch the videos, and they look at the cheat sheets. Total coincidence, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, they did not take either FFL, but had they done so, they would have been looking at 334 points. The median score was a massive 241 this week, the 3rd highest of the season and roughly 50 points higher than the 2nd best SLC round. After the absolute highest missed pick trend last week, this week was the lowest in any round, not a Triple Crown, and even then it tied the Triple Crown in Arlington with just a combined 39% pick trend, bringing home a 0. Led by Fast Freddy, who shall now be called Fall Down Freddy until further notice. Honorable mention to Justin Starling's 4.5% pick trend, despite him explicitly saying not to pick him on Twitter. I see you, Ron Dog. More of the same with the no excuse misses. People keep picking Blowson short despite them not racing this class. I don't know. I think it's a joke at this point, right? Right? Like, it's gotta be. To the almost 300 of you doing this, it's not funny. Nobody's laughing. You can tank all you want, but you aren't getting that Star Yamaha deal next year. I was pretty proud of my team on Wednesday, bringing in 262 points, 21 north of the middle of the pack. I did pick Justin Cooper for the FFL, hoping that Star Yamaha bike would be as strong with the West as it was for the East, but alas, I lost those 7 points to Forkner. Speaking of losing points, did you know if you would have just copied my team from the last video, you would have scored 263 points with no FFL? I'm not condoning anybody to straight copy. In fact, that's the last thing I want you to do. I'm here to educate you on riders and offer objective info and logic, but I want you to make your own picks. But hey, if you're lost right now, following me isn't the worst idea. Someone who passed me at the start and never looked back, Ride Red 51 with his 2018 MEC Barsha profile picture, took the weekly lead in our first perfect team of the season at 304 points. Also, I owe a huge apology to B Smith 831 as I completely effed and left this part of the video on the cutting room floor last time. B finally took over EXO after SLC3, his second stint on top of the leaderboard, and after Wednesday has increased his lead to 46 points over Depren and 55 over EXO. In fact, only 5 players in the RotoX League are within 100 points of taking home the first ever RotoX League Championship. I'm sure you're all itching to get to the picks, but first, a couple of housekeeping notes for SLC5. 2 riders have moved into All-Star status, obviously reducing their value, not being able to score double points. After his 5th consecutive top 5 finish, Zach Osborne now holds the 8th All-Star spot with a 4 handicap, and Justin Brayton is again eligible for a double points if you dare pick him straight up with no handicap. Derek Drake moves past Jacob Hayes in the West with a 6th place finish and is now the highest handicap all-star at an 8. Hayes, of course, is out for the season, so I trust you well enough to have sense to leave him off your roster as well. And now it is time. 5 riders you need to keep your eye on this weekend. First and foremost, let's talk about your 450 All-Star. Is anybody hotter than Zacho right now? Osborne notched a career high second Wednesday in his second podium in 3 races. As Mathis said on the Pulp Show, Osborne riding like this will quickly cause us all to forget his inconsistent first half. 5 top 5s in his last 5 races pairs very nicely with that 4 handicap. Next up, and I can't believe I'm saying this, is Chad Reed. Chad looked risky on Wednesday up front at the start with each gate drop and turning in some of the best looking laps he's had all year. I really wish Chad could come into the season riding like he seems to do at the end every year. Since being at SLC, he has logged 19th, then 17th, 14th, then 11th. Is he trending toward the top 10 pick this weekend? Probably not. But at a 5 handicap, I would be more than happy with a 12th or 13th place finish. Your high handicap hero of the race could very well be Tyler Bowers. I caught some flack last race for putting him on my early team, and he stayed there even when the gates dropped. 4 consecutive 20-plus finishes left his handicap ballooned at a 10 last race, and I knew there was really no downside there. This week he's back at an 8, which could still be a huge bargain. After he seems to have finally put his breathing and his altitude issues behind him, I expect to see the bear battling in the 15th range for the rest of the series, so his handicap should only go down from here. Moving over to the 250 side with 8 All-Stars at your disposal, and they are all great picks, to be honest, well, except for one. Luke Clout struggled along to a 12th place finish Wednesday, citing the altitude for his struggles. Hey, a lot of guys are dealing with this, and it's no joke or excuse, but someone openly admitting to it is not someone I want as my all-star, despite his generous 8 handicap. If a 0 or a 1 scares you, Amart, Hartranft, and Moseman are all sitting at a 5 right now. And the final rider we are going to cover is number 90, Killian Albertson. Killy was a fantasy hero at times this season, bringing home huge points pretty much all year, but he benefited greatly from some riders missing time. Take his 13th in San Diego, for example, the last race before the break. That looks good on paper until you realize that race was missing Jet Lawrence, Mitchell Oldenburg, Christian Craig wasn't there, Hunter Lawrence hadn't debuted yet, Derek Kelly was hurt, Michael Lee was out, and Cameron McAdoo DNF'd. That could have and very well should have been more of a 17th or 18th place finish instead, and how did he finish with all those guys in? 17th, which paired with the 7 handicap would still net you double, but are you satisfied with 26 points right now? If I were to set my Sunday team on this Thursday, it would look something like this. I have Moseman as my 250 All-Star, as I think he is the most complete racer out of those 3 5 handicap guys. Hunter Lawrence and his 3 handicap is just spicy enough to draw my attention, and I'm glad I waited on him last week. I have Mitch Oldenburg penciled in at a 0, but he's the one most likely to get swapped before Sunday. And I'm hoping Robbie Wageman can bounce back after his DNF and make great use with that 8 handicap. Moving on to the 450 class, I have Eli Tomac for, I think, the first time this season. I have no qualms taking Eli at a 1 when he's riding like this. And when you want to guarantee some double points, you just gotta know that Chiz is gonna chiz. This 450 class is getting tougher and tougher to pick, and Chiz at a 7 is everyone's friend. Like I mentioned before, Chad Reed at a 5 could still be a steal and hopefully is an easy 30 plus. And one of these days, I'm going to leave Freezy on my night team, and this week at a 6 looked like it could finally be that week. We have another new addition to the FFL leaderboard as Cooper Webb finally logged his first of the season at SLC4, the 8th rider of the season. But Kenny got the whole shot, but Coop simply had the better line into the second corner. Kenny's looking spry after the recent struggles, but I still think I'm looking at Osborne for the 450 FFL, especially with the return of that long start straight and an almost entire lap until the finish. Many of us thought the Star Bike's nigh unbeatable, but along comes Austin to prove us wrong. Fortner is the clear cream of the crop here, pulling 5 FFLs in 9 attempts. No one else even has 2. I think it is very possible the Star Bikes could have a little more advantage on Sunday with the extended start, but Cooper seems to have lost his smile and an uninspiring ride Wednesday. And of course, Ferrandis had a much better start than usual, but he's still not somebody I would put any amount of money to lead the first lap. Sunday's forecast looks fantastic, sunny and 76 when the night show begins, before dropping to about 73 as the checkers fly. Another perfect race day forecast after the chaotic that led off the series. The program schedule is also a mirror of Sunday, with qualifying times beginning at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, and race day live coverage at 4:30, 1:30 Pacific. Look for the RotoX Fantasy Cheat Sheet to drop an hour before the gates do at roughly 6 Eastern, and of course the gates will be dropping for the first heat at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. If it's your first time here, do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be the first one to see our videos. Also, if you find this, the cheat sheet, the commentary, the memes, all of it, if you find it valuable, make sure please to leave a like and some comments on the post. This is a 100% privateer venture, so every like, comment, share can get us more visibility and hopefully attract some new eyes and potentially even maybe a sponsor or two down the road. As always, thank you so much for watching RotoX Fantasy. My name is Donnie, and I hope your chiz is chiz this weekend, and that's for my sake as well. Good luck out there, good picks, and take care.